Hey, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jonathan.
We're the Fountain Pen Guys.
So let's talk pens. And today we're going to do this is really our first pen review. And so we're going to take a minute today to review what I am holding here in my hand. This is the Monteverde Monza. And we picked this one to review because right now at Goulet Pens, one of those fine internet pen establishments, when you buy a Jaffa pen of any brand, you also get to pick a free Monteverde ink to go along with that. A bottle of, is it 30 milliliter?
Yeah.
Okay, so 30 milliliter Monteverde ink. So we wanted to start with the Monza. So we're going to, in the spirit of Stephen Brown, who does some of the best reviews on the internet, we are going to talk about we're going to describe this pen to you. We're going to give you some general impressions. We'll let you see a writing sample. And then we'll talk about the things we like about it and don't like about it, including, hey, how practical is this pen? What is the reliability? And I guess the first thing I'd say about this pen is this is a great little starter pen.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a friend you're trying to penable, this would be a great place to start. You know, you've got the ones that most people talk about, you know, the TWSBIs and the Metros and stuff. But I think this actually, just because of the writing experience, if you want to hook somebody, this would be a great pen to start with.
Yeah, it's now, as you get to know me, you will learn that I'm not a fan of the Pilot Metropolitan. If you love Pilot Metropolitans, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Mine is, I prefer to never own another Pilot Metropolitan. I really, though, kind of like this. As a matter of fact, I was mentioning to Daniel when we were getting set up, this is essentially exactly the same size and shape. It's like it was made to be exactly the same size and shape as a Sailor 1911. The standard size, not the big one. And I really like my Sailor 1911. Man, it's great to put in a pen sleeve and throw in my pocket and to carry with me. It's a great size. Even the nib is about the same size. So definitely not a bad starter pen, not a bad place to start your collection.
Right. And just starting right off the bat, I have the clear version. It's completely transparent. And I believe you have the smoke?
Smoke-ish. I assume that's what it's called, gray or smoke or something like that.
Right. And so I've inked mine up with my free bottle of the Monteverde Sapphire ink. And
very good. And mine is Monteverde Tanzanite, which is actually an ink they gave away at the Dallas Pen Show this year when we got our bags. And so since you didn't go through the registration process, you only registered one person per family, so we're going to have to share because we're in the same family. We're brothers-in-law.
Brothers-in-law.
So yeah, I like the smoke color. The clear color looks really nice too. And it's funny, you know, it's a funny thing about demonstrators. Like, I don't like the way Sailor demonstrators look. I actually like the way that looks better than most Sailor demonstrators, at least I've seen pictures of. Mm-hmm. I love Sailors. Any Sailor fans out there, I love them. I just got, if you watch our intro video, I just got a King of Pens, and it's awesome. It's one of the Ebonite ones that just has the clip, no other hardware on it. I love it. But I don't like their demonstrators. And this is actually not a bad-looking demonstrator. It's even down to what? What is it you wanted to talk about, Daniel?
Yeah, the clear feed on these. So when you just pull it out of the box, it is completely clear, and it's pretty cool looking because, you know, you're used to seeing a black feed on most pens you get. So this is completely clear, and then once you dip it into your ink and fill it up, it takes on the color of the ink that you put in there. And I've already washed this out a couple of times, and so it goes back to completely clear once you clean it out. I mean, I can't speak for some of the, you know, problem inks out there. I won't say any names. But with this one, it just completely goes back to clear, and I think that's just really cool. It's almost a unique thing with these feeds.
Sure. And so let's just talk about it top to bottom. As you describe it, the finial up here at the top, just a clear finial, a clear lid, and we'll take some pictures and put them in the video for you. But a clear lid. And then this big metal, the clip is attached to the band around the top, and then there's a band at the bottom of the cap, and that cap at the bottom is, so it's having done a lot of Sailor observing, hunting, looking, I don't know.
Research.
But research, wishing I had. So the silver band at the bottom is a thick one, like on the sailor. What are the black sailors called? I forget what they're called, but the sailor has this black one that's kind of a little bit of a fancy model, and it's got the great big band at the bottom. So it's kind of cool, then the rest of the pin is, these are all demonstrators, different colors. You can get them several colors. I actually have one on the way from Goulet that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, but it's red. So it kind of, just another flavor of these same pins. And then it comes down. Now, one kind of weird thing about this pin, there's a little bit of threads. They're not a pain in the neck. They don't bother me. It's not particularly cheap looking. It's got a little bit of a nice, what would you call that, Daniel? As you turn it, there's some ridges in there that kind of give the look some texture as opposed to just a completely clear demonstrator.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty nice.
Right. It gives it some visual, just some visual character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, a lot of times with a clear pen, it's not forgiving at all. You're going to see all the little imperfections in the plastic and everything, but they actually did a really good job with this. It doesn't, you can't see any cracks, imperfections, glue spots. For the price point of this pen, it's really surprising how put together it is.
Sure.
For lack of a better term. I do like the band that you were talking about. It has the Monteverde USA on there, and then on the back end it says Monza in this kind of like Ginzu style font. And it,
little like cartoon ninja.
Yeah, cartoon ninja, but it doesn't. It's not.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad, and I think it's because it's just. It isn't a different color, It's just like it looks like it's lasered on there.
Sure.
And so that it makes it subtle, and it's a good clip, good stiff clip on there. And I love the fact that I'm not afraid to put this in my pocket. I can put it in a sleeve. I could clip it to my shirt pocket here without worrying about it. It doesn't feel like it's gonna come apart in my pocket and create an ink explosion on my shirt. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
And we'll talk price in just a minute because the price is great on this pen. I do want to make a note though, and this is a gripe among some fountain pen users. This little end is a separate piece, and so on the list of things you would not want to do without risking life and limb by doing some personal engineering on a pen that's probably not worth the investment is you would not want to eyedropper this bad boy. I would say definitely stick with cartridge converter. And so, by the way, as we talk price point, I think we're to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So these have been super cheap from time to time. Like I've seen these for like $9.
Yeah.
Right now at Goulet's website, where you can get your free ink, they are $24 for the Monza 3, I believe is what it's called, and that's the one I just ordered. It's red, and the cool thing about it is it comes with three sections. For those of you who are new to pens, the section is the part you hold on to, the grip section, that kind of holds everything together. And each section comes with a converter and comes with a nib unit. And so there is a medium, a fine, and a flex on the one that I ordered that I don't have in my hand yet, and we'll review it when it gets here, kind of in a separate, we'll show it off, I guess. Probably reviews, not since we're doing the review now. And so that's kind of cool. That's about $24, and it comes right now from Goulet with a free bottle of ink. Right now being October 2019, and I think they said, don't quote me on this, check out Goulet's website, but I think that actually goes through the end of the year, or at least up to Christmas time, is my understanding. And then I also priced it at Pen Chalet. Pen Chalet, you can get the individual pen. I want to say it was in the $15 range for the individual pen. And they also had a Monza 3, the same options as Goulet for about that same $24 price. And then they had what they called a Monza calligraphy set that was 3 different nibs with sections and converters also. And I'm mentioning the converters because a lot of inexpensive pens don't come with converters.
Right.
And so that's a lot of fairly expensive pins. Nothing like ordering $100 sailor and it arrives and you realize I've been waiting for this sailor to come from Japan for 2 weeks, and now my sailor has arrived from Japan and I only have cartridges to put in it.
Right.
That'll make you want to say bad things. And so, the calligraphy set, though, is 3 nibs also, but these are all stub nibs. One, I believe it's a 1.1, a 1.5, and a 2 millimeter stub nib. So that's kind of an interesting choice. You almost never see a 2 millimeter stub nib.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You just it'll bring out the character in any ink when you're writing with a stub that big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the nibs. We're going to do a writing sample for you, and then we'll talk about things we like and don't like. Nibs, not bad.
Right, yeah. The surprising thing, the first thing that you notice right off the bat is I took mine out of the box, inked it up, started writing with it, and I just thought, wait, I paid $16 for this pen?
Yeah.
It was impressive, just the bang for the buck with this. It's not buttery smooth, right? But it isn't scratchy at all. It's a very pleasant feedback to it, and I had no problems with hard starts or anything like that, and it's been a great writer for me.
I would say the term that we would use here is well-behaved. This is a very well-behaved pen, and it's nice when you get an inexpensive pen that is well-behaved. Any other thoughts you wanted to touch on? We've talked about the feed, we've talked about the price, we've talked about the options of where you can purchase these pens. Anything else you want to touch on before we go to a writing sample?
No, I'll save it for our general likes and dislikes.
Okay, and I will also make sure to link in the description here Stephen Brown, SBRE Brown's review of this same pen, and I will also link. He has there are 3 different pens that use this body. It is a Chinese barrel and cap, and not only does Monteverde use it and put their nib on it, so it is a Monteverde nib. It's different from the nibs you'll get in the other, but also Jin Hao and another brand do it. And Stephen Brown has a review of all 3 of those pens, one of his shootouts. And so I'll make sure and link that in the description as well. So if you want to go see those as well, because I really respect Stephen. I think he does a fantastic job of reviewing, and everybody else I know steals the format for their reviews from
Right.
Stephen Brown. So I want to make sure and link those in. And definitely, not only would we ask you to subscribe to our channel, but we tell you to go subscribe to Stephen's channel as well. He does a fantastic job. And we'll mention other guys who do great reviews as we do reviews, because we really respect, and those guys have given us insights into really cool pens and really cool inks, and so we want to make sure and give those guys credit for that. So let's go to do a writing sample now, and then we'll come back and give you what we like and don't like about it.
So we're going to start with the medium nib on this Monza here. And so one thing I like to do is I like to do some geometric shapes, because it changes the angle of the nib. And I also like to color in a box, because it also helps with the upstrokes. Because on some nibs, when you're doing upstrokes, you can definitely feel some scratchiness or some variation. But this, I think, might be just the combination of being a medium nib and maybe the lubrication on the ink. There's no scratchiness at all there. It's very pleasant. Tell how wet it is here.
Well, that's worth noting. If you're new to fountain pens, the broader your nib, the smoother it's going to write.
Yeah, and that's why I tend to go from medium up above to stubs. I hardly ever go down into the fine area, because it is difficult to find a fine that isn't scratchy to my personal preference. And so this is the sapphire ink. And so if you watch enough of these videos, you see this all the time, right?
And that's not to say that you don't sometimes get feedback. Now, if you're new to pens, when we say feedback, that's just where you can feel the paper. And some nibs, like I like Sailor nibs. I like Sailor pens. Sailor makes great pens, but they all give a little bit of feedback. And Japanese pens tend to be a little finer than Western pens too. Sailor less than Platinum. Platinum tends to be super fine. You get lots of feedback with that. Now this is a fine Monza.
Yeah, this is the fine. And so this one has the Tanzanite ink in it. So if you're getting started with fountain pens, and you're trying to find out where your sweet spot is, you're going to find that when you write with a fine, there are some advantages. You can write on many more types of paper. It's a little more forgiving to write on just your regular copy paper that you'll find at the office. I do keep some fines in my bag at work because I have to write on Post-it notes every once in a while. And at first, my solution was to just keep a ballpoint pen for writing on Post-it notes. And then I thought, there's no reason for me to do ballpoint pens. Just get a fine.
Yes, and Post-it notes seem to be intentionally designed to not be able to take fountain pens.
Right.
Somewhere along the way, who makes Post-its?
3M?
3M. Somewhere 3M decided that they would try to infuriate every fountain pen user. Because they're terrible.
Here's our homage to Stephen.
Yeah, you keep hearing us reference Stephen Brown, and the reason is he is a fantastic reviewer. And as a matter of fact, like we said, we're going to link him in this video so that, or in the description of this video, so you can see his Monza review, as well as his shootout between Monza and the equivalent Jin Hao, as well as another Chinese brand pen. So there's our writing sample. Now we'll tell you kind of what we liked and what we didn't like about these Monzas. Okay, well, now you've seen a writing sample. You've heard a basic description of the pen. And we'll get better at that in the future, by the way. I'm sure there are lots of things we're going to watch these videos and think, man, we should have done that better. So here's what we think about it. First, I think it is a great value. I think it's a great starter pen. If I had it to do over, this would probably, rather than a Pilot Metropolitan, be my starting pen. I love it. I also like TWSBIs a lot. TWSBI Eco would be another good starter pen. I think any of us would recommend. But here's what's interesting. In my old age, as I've used more and more pens and spent more and more money on pens, I like cartridge converters. I like the ease of being able to use a bulb syringe to rinse them out. I like that in 2 or 3 days, I'm completely out of ink and I get to refill my pen with a different color.
So I'm not at that place yet. I mean, I'm at the same age you are, but I'm not at the place where I prefer this over my piston fillers. But it is nice to be able to run through an ink and then change colors. And so I tend to ink a lot of pens at the same time, and in the last year I've made a concerted effort to just keep it under 10. It used to be, I had a 20 pen pouch. Oh. Let's fill it all up, but then the inks would dry out and stuff. So I've made a concerted effort to do that now, and so I don't go through the inks as quickly as you do, I'm sure, but. Yeah, what I like about this is it has a perfect amount of ink with this converter. I can go through it. If I'm doing thank you notes or something, I can run through a whole session of thank you notes with one filling, and then I'm done, and then I can just rinse it out and put it away.
Sure. And the nib's nice. For an inexpensive steel nib, the nib is nice. And now, when we get into what I don't like about it, so one of the things that I'm not super excited about it is this is one of those steel nibs that I like, but if I were going to use it on a regular basis, which I haven't, I would probably, I've used it for several days, so I could do a good review of it, but I haven't used it on a regular basis. I would probably smooth the nib just a hair. It's got a little bit of feedback that's not scratchy. That's kind of the big gripe we have as fountain pen users, right? Is scratchy nibs. Mm-hmm. It's not scratchy, but I'm going to say it's kind of draggy. Is that an okay word to use? It feels like the feedback equivalent of walking through deep snow to me. I can feel it. Like a sailor, I like sailors, and this is one of the differences in Daniel and me. And it's important when you watch reviewers to know who has the same taste you do. Daniel likes piston fillers. He's sitting here on the table with him is his Pelican. Pelican M600. And M600s are nice gold nib piston fillers. My favorite pen is a King of Pen. King of Pens are nice gold nib cartridge converter pens that people will say, man, I'd love to have a King of Pen, but they run out of ink so fast. And I think, man, I love the fact that my King of Pen runs out of ink so fast because I can fill it up with another ink. So, all that to say, I like the pen. I like the way it writes. It's a little bit draggy. I'd probably smooth a little bit if it were mine. Great starter pen. What would you add to that, Daniel?
So I had to think long and hard about a dislike because I don't want to just, rose-colored glasses and everything. But I do like finials, like the brand on a finial. And I know this is at a price point where it's impractical to put bumper stickers on this, right? But it would have been cool to get the little Monteverde symbol or something on the tip or something like that.
Monteverde, you can't acknowledge this is your pen. It is a good enough pen to acknowledge it as yours.
Yeah, be proud of this. Yeah, it's a solid pen. I have shown this to people who have asked about fountain pens, like where do I start? I recommend this one because it's cheap. You can get it real easy, and it's not fussy, And so that's I have pens that I love, but I've worked myself up to them, and I know that they're fussy, and I know that it takes a little tinkering with just to get to the writing experience. You don't want to start out with that. So, but this is great to start off with. Another thing I like is it doesn't overreach. It knows what it is. It knows it's a sub $20 pen that's going to be something you can use every day. It's not flashy, but it's cool. I mean, people see me writing with this and they're like, that's a cool pen, right?
Sure.
And so it's a conversation starter, and it's great. It's a great one to have in my pocket.
Now, here's the but, and this is where I want to encourage you to go watch Stephen Brown's video. That's the shootout. Because the Jin Hao that has the same body this pen has, literally the same body, they come from the same factory in China, is about $2. So now you have to order on eBay from China, and it comes by turtle from China, and so you order it, and then about 7 weeks later, you receive it in the mail, and I'm not kidding. So about 7 weeks later. Now, so I would never tell a starter in the hobby to order a $2 pen from China because I wouldn't get them excited about a pen and then tell them to wait 7 weeks for a pen to come.
Right.
And it's not as good an experience, from my experience. I have one. It's not as good an experience. And but watch Stephen Brown's video because he'll touch on the things that make them different. So. Thank you for taking time to watch our video. Hopefully you made it this far, and we really appreciate it. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Daniel.
And we're the Fountain Pen Guys.